The Curtiss P-40 Warhawk is an American single-engine, single-seat, all-metal fighter and ground attack aircraft that first flew in 1938. The P-40 design was a modification of the previous Curtiss P-36 Hawk, which reduced development time and enabled a rapid entry into production and operational service. The Warhawk was used by most Allied powers during World War II and remained in frontline service until the end of the war. It was the third most produced American fighter in World War II after the P-51 and the P-47. By November 1944, when production had ceased, 13,738 had been built, all at the Curtiss-Wright Corporation's main production facilities at Buffalo, New York. The P-40 Warhawk was the name the United States Army Air Corps gave the plane, and after June 1941, the US AAF adopted the name for all models, making it the official name in the US for all P-40s. The British Commonwealth and Soviet Air Forces used the name Tomahawk for models equivalent to the original P-40, P-40B and P-40C, while the name Kitty Hawk for the models equivalent to the P-40D and all later variants. The P-40s saw combat with British Commonwealth squadrons in the Desert Air Force in the Middle East and North Africa campaign during 1941. Number 112 Squadron Royal Air Force was amongst the first to operate Tomahawks in North Africa, and the unit was the first Allied military aviation unit to feature a shark-mouth logo, copying similar markings from some Luftwaffe Messerschmitt Bf-110 twin-engine fighters. The P-40's lack of two-speed supercharger made it inferior to Luftwaffe fighters such as the Messerschmitt Bf-109 and the Focke-Wulf Fw-190 in high-altitude combat, and it was rarely used in operations in northwest Europe. However, between 1941 and 1944, the P-40 played a critical role with Allied air forces in three major theaters: North Africa, Southwest Pacific and China. It also had a significant role in the Middle East, Southeast Asia, Eastern Europe, Alaska and Italy. It was also supplied as a Lend-Lease aircraft to Russia. The P-40's performance at high altitudes was not important in those theaters, where it served as an air superiority fighter, bomber, escort and fighter bomber. Although it gained a post-war reputation as a mediocre design, suitably only for close air support, more recent research, including scrutiny of records of individual Allied squadrons, indicates that this was not the case. The P-40 performed surprisingly well as an air superiority fighter, at times suffering severe losses, but also inflicting very heavily toll on enemy aircraft. Based upon wartime victory claims, over 200 Allied fighter pilots from UK, Australia, New Zealand, Canada and South Africa, the US and the Soviet Union became aces flying the P-40. These included at least 20 double aces, that being 10 kills or more, mostly over North Africa, China, Burma and India, the Southwest Pacific and Eastern Europe. The P-40 offered the additional advantages of low-cost durability, which kept it in production as a ground attack aircraft long after it was obsolete as a fighter. Now, this was from Wikipedia. If you take a look below, you will see links to two brilliant videos by Claire, the Warbird Mistress. Click on them. She does a far better job of me of discussing the history of this aircraft. Well worth looking at. So now on to the unboxing. Right, this is Johnson, North Wales, and now we're going to be looking at the unboxing for my fourth project in this series of Pacific Theatre builds. And this is the Airfix Curtiss P-40B Warhawk. It's one of the fairly basic Airfix kits, and I think it's about 10 years old. I remember when it was released, and in many ways it marks, in my mind, the latest generation of Airfix kits. So one marking option for an aircraft operating out of Pearl Harbor. You've got your colour breakdown, your colour scheme on the back, and we'll have a look at what's in the box and have a discussion about this coming project. So start off as always the instructions. This is it's a fairly basic kit, so straightforward guide. Again, computer graphics, but not quite at the level we see with the Kate. You can see that they are sort of, the instructions are evolving, and this to me is sort of almost a transition from early new Airfix to current new Airfix. So still not some of the things there, but in the same breath, it's not bad. Takes you through it. Well, in this case, I say construction as always begins with the cockpit. No, it doesn't. It begins with getting the fuselage halves together. Don't put on the propeller now, because you're bound to knock it off or something like that. Cockpit, in this case, goes on the bottom wing, or attaches to the lower surface of the wing box, well, the midsection of the wing box. Wings go together, cockpit mates up with it. Cowling flaps, it's nice to see the option that you have the option for open or closed. And you can see that to take into account the different variants of the P-40, you've got different engine cowling, different intake, and so the aircraft has been, this kit has been very much engineered with the sub-variants and the developments in mind. Wheels with the flat added to them, and putting the pilot in at the end. Now, a few things that I noticed this kit doesn't have is droppable flaps on a cockpit that can be posed open, which in this case I think is a little bit of a disappointment. Apart from that, it's a nothing too much to worry about. So let's take a look at the plastic. Well, the plastic is, as you can see, nicely engraved panel lines, crisp, clean mouldings of the standards we have currently come to expect. Pilot figure has got a little bit of shrinkage in his midriff. The seat, if you're doing it without a pilot, you're going to need to add seat belts. Even with a pilot, you might need to think about putting some straps on his shoulders. The wheels there, you have the option for them in the retracted position. And then you've got the second sprue, which is the fuselage halves, the intake, cockpit floor, tail surfaces. Again, even with this kit now being in like the 10-year-old range, no signs of any flash, which means the molds are still in good quality. Maybe a little bit clean up on the edges, but not what I'd call flash in any particular form. I'm stuck to it there, but anyway, that might be from me handling it. The canopy, which I'm not going to take out of the bag, is, you've got nice clear canopy frames, which will make this one actually quite easy to mask and prepare. So I can't see any issues there. As I said, maybe with a razor saw you could cut it and pose it open. I'll have to look at what the clearances are like. And then onto the decals, the one set, and you can see early war because it's still got the meatball in the center of the star. That was soon removed because to avoid misidentification with Japanese aircraft. Nice little set of stencils as well, so decaling isn't too simple on this, and I will probably use the this lettering and that lettering on the display base. I think I do like that Airfix do that, because it does help with the display purposes. So what I've got here is my second base from Hobbycraft. It'll need a little bit tidying up. In this case, it's going to be reworked and made into the runway at Hawaii, with the aircraft. The goal will be to build this aircraft in a configuration where it's just in the process of taking off. So wheels just off the deck, undercarriage elos extended, maybe grass verge down one edge, the rest of it the concrete or the tarmac or whatever they did the runway as. Again, it'll need a little bit of research to get the look right. So that's what the goal is. So an aircraft in the midst of taking off, so it'll have the spinning prop on display. If I can cut the canopy open, I will do so. I'm going to have to cut the flaps to drop them in this case. And there's me. All the recent Airfix kits have the flaps, the option to have drop flaps, and this one doesn't, so now I'm going to give myself the headache of modelling the flaps. But what the heck, let's give it a go. Something I've not yet done in a project, so let's take a look at the reference images and see what happens. So a nice, simple, straightforward kit, and honestly I think if you're new to scale modelling, it's certainly one I would recommend giving a go to. It's made, I believe it's been engineered to be a fairly forgiving kit to build without too many vices for the inexperienced modeler. What that means for more experienced modeler is it's down to us to really make these things shine, which is what I hope to do in this case, and to have a little bit of fun with it. Now, it's early war, maybe even slightly pre-war, so the weathering, they're going to be kept in reasonably clean condition. So the weathering is, there's going to be some weathering, but it's not going to be heavy. I mean, this is not yet a well-used Warbird, and you kind of hope it survives long enough to put a few more miles on its clock, so to speak. Cowling the flaps there is a nice option, and I do like Airfix taking approaches like that. So that's what's in mind for this. Now that I've done this video, I can actually make a start on this project, and all credit to Airfix once again, providing us with a very good palette on which to work.